Hey, how are you? Hope you're doing well, because it's about to get even better. I'm Logan, and today I want to show you a super practical tool I recently started using myself. It's already made a difference for me, and now I want to walk you through exactly how I use it in real time. I recommend watching this video to the end, because I'll be lifting the curtain a bit and showing how people in my community are already putting this into the practice. Ready to dive in? Let's break it all down together. Today we're going to look for lucky situations, and we'll set up our workspace to do so. This is to make it more convenient and practical. First of all, let's set up the indicators. This is a moving average indicator. Let's set it up for a period of 24. For me, this is the best option, which does not take into account noise and can successfully tell us how to open a trade. Then we have a time frame of 5 seconds and an expiry time of 15 seconds. Actually, that's enough for today's strategy. Let's get started. Here we see the upward movement simply by the moving average and the price chart. Because of this, I open a position upwards, expecting the movement to continue the trend. Alright folks, the deal was open on a trend, so we see upward movement here, although it has started to fade here. There may be some changes coming, but that's another matter. In this situation, we had an upward movement and opened the position upwards. Actually, the position worked out perfectly and further upward movement also occurred. We are on the plus side. Let's move on. In this situation, we see the beginning of an upward movement. So I open a position up and wait for the expiry time. And at the end of the transaction, I will give you more details about the situation. There was an upward momentum here, followed by a corrective move downward of this image. But in this case, we see that the moving average has changed its directions from downward to upward movement. Therefore, at this point, I opened the position upwards and waited for the expiration time. Actually, it's a great deal. I'm happy with it, aren't you? Oh, and real quick, not long ago I ran a live session inside my community where I broke down how to spot key moments on the chart and, more importantly, how to understand the why behind your decisions. And that's just one topic we cover. In my breakdowns I show the full flow, how we analyze, test ideas live and build the full pictures, like putting together a puzzle. This kind of a structure is super helpful, especially if you're just getting started. Want to see how it works? You'll find a link in the description with access to our latest session and more info about the community. And I'll move on to analyzing further assets. Here we see that we have an indeterminate indicator, no definite trend direction. Because of this, I move to the next chart. I see here the beginning of downward movement on the movement average indicator. Because of this, in the direction of the downward movement, I open a position down and wait for the expiry time. Now it will come to the end and I will explain this situation in more detail. What we see here is a little bit of a sideways movement, where price moves from the upper to the lower boundary, and so all the time. Sometimes going beyond the boundary, as in this case here and here. But in addition, we see that in this situation, this downward movement is accompanied by a downward movement of the moving average indicator, which confirms the strength of this impulse. Actually, we can see how strong and weighty he is, because of the deal is so precise, accurate, and quite confident on the level breakdown. Moving on. Here we see an upward movement on the moving average indicator. And here I open a position upwards and wait for the expiration time. Basically, we had a pretty interesting situation on this chart. We're in a global uptrend which has slight corrective movement, but the global trend is upward. Further, a small correction and continuation of the upward movement. Because of this, I opened just along the global direction of our movement average and fixed it successfully. Although there were risks too. Let me tell you something honestly. It's not as overwhelming as it might look at first glance, especially when you've got a clear system to follow. A lot of my community members started just like you, no experience, tons of questions, but a real desire to learn. Instead of endless theory, they watched how I broke things down. followed the steps and slowly started to get in. If that sounds something like you'd like to try, head to the link in the description. You'll find ready-to-use tools and clear walkthroughs to help you gain confidence without stress. Here we see a downward movement. Therefore, I open a position on the continuation of this downward movement down in the direction of the trend and do not make up much. Here we see a general global downtrend with a slight correlation as here. But I'm opening a position down because global factors are pointing to it. After all, the trend is our friend, remember? Here we see an uncertain situation. The moving average moves in some unclear, indistinct movement, and the price chart has neither lower boundary nor upper boundary. So I'll move on. Here I'm opening a position down. Just perfectly. The price has touched the moving average, from which a downward movement should follow. And this is all accompanied also simply by its downward direction. The downward direction of the moving average that accompanies this test from below. Because here price is getting a reaction from the level of the moving average. And in fact, the same things happened in this situation. Consequently, I opened a trade down and caught a successful momentum move down. I'm moving on. In this situation, we see a hatchet job on the downside. So I open a position down and wait for the expiration time. Right folks, in principle it is similar to the previous case of downward movement. Our trend is logically defined downward. Because of this, I'm also opening a position down in the direction of this trend. I'm not making anything up, just acting according to the movement of the ship. By the way, every day inside my community I host 2 live sessions where I walk through multiple examples in real time. It helps members stay focused and understand what really matters. And don't worry, if you are new to this, it's built for beginners. Plenty of people started from zero just like you. Now they're making progress step by step and getting closer to goals they once thought were out of reach. Want to take a pic? The link is in the description. Come see for yourself. In this situation, we see the beginning of an upward movement. We saw a reversal of the moving average right here. I open a position up and wait for the end of a trade. Everything in principle is clear. Downward movement of the moving average. Open a position down. If we see the beginning of an upward movement, we open a position upwards. Basically, it's similar here. And it's the same in our case. We see the beginning of an upward movement, open a position upwards and see a successful trade. The main thing is to confirm everything with data from the indicator. I will move on. The situation here is unclear, as the indicator is not directed to any side. It is a horizontal position. So let's move on. We see here the beginning of a downward movement on the moving average indicator and also on the price chart. Therefore, I open a trade down in the direction of this downward momentum. Close to the entry point, but the deal closed in our favor. We just see downward impulses that are accompanied by downward moves, and we open a position on that move and lock in a position. And the indicator is helping us. Alright folks, let me move on. It's a tough schedule around here. The moving average is not directed anywhere, and the price is moving in an unclear range. I'm moving on. Here we see the beginning of an upward movement after a long consolidation. So I open a position up and wait for the expiry time. Great! That was a great analysis. Feel free to leave the comments of your own, what do you think? And that brings us to the end of this one. Today I shared just one tool, but inside my community there are many more just like it. Simple, practical and proven to real use. I hope this video gave you a sense that clarity and confidence come from having the right plan and knowing you are not doing it alone. If you are ready to keep going, just click the link below. Thanks for watching all the way through. See you next one.